Every single morning at exactly 8:47, Marcus steers a glossy, showroom-ready luxury SUV into the executive lot.
The monthly lease payment eats up $900 of his paycheck, locked into a multi-year contract he can barely sustain.
He deliberately chooses a parking spot right beneath the primary boardroom windows, not for ease of access, but to ensure his directors spot the vehicle during their weekly strategy reviews.
Marcus operates within regional advertising, bringing home $94,000 annually.
Whenever prospective accounts tour the facility, he volunteers to escort them out, ensuring they catch a glimpse of his high and ride before departing.
That premium vehicle isn't just transit, it is a rolling statement piece forged from international engineering and crushing liabilities.
Meanwhile, Claire arrives earlier, securing a space at the far edge of the same asphalt lot at 8:22. She pilots a 6-year-old midsize sedan that she secured outright for $22,000 in cash. The rear quarter panel features a noticeable scrape she completely disregards because it has zero impact on mechanical performance.
Clara operates at the exact same firm as Marcus, serving as the director of logistical operations with a salary of $112,000.
Marcus possesses a total net worth of $17,000, weighed down by maxed out credit accounts, lease liabilities, a signature loan from a tropical getaway, and a retirement balance
Hovering around $8,000 because he only defers a tiny sliver of his earnings. Clara possesses a net worth exceeding $1 million.
Marcus projects wealth, but Clara actually owns it.
They share an office complex and earn comparable salaries. Yet the massive chasm dividing their financial destinies was carved by decades of opposing micro-decisions.
The most glaring divergence sits exposed on the pavement outside. One chose the illusion of status, while the other prioritized asset accumulation.
The driveway was where their paths fractured. This deep dive uncovers why the most affluent individuals across the country systematically navigate roads in vehicles that would utterly shock you.
They do not do this because they lack the capital for an upgrade. Rather, their core comprehension of currency is so radically distinct from the public consensus that their vehicle becomes the ultimate materialization of the exact mindset that generated their prosperity. Let us break down the underlying reality. The average purchase price allocated by self-made millionaires for their latest vehicle was roughly $31,000.
For individuals clearing $10 million or more, that figure only ticked up to around $42,000.
These metrics originate from foundational national wealth surveys, representing some of the most exhaustive evaluations of affluent citizens ever assembled.
Consider what that truly implies for a moment. The standard cost for a new vehicle transaction across the nation has surged past $48,000.
This means everyday wage earners are routinely spending far more on depreciating transportation than the typical millionaire allocates.
A major automotive data study revealed that 61% of households commanding over $250,000 a year navigate daily commutes in standard Hondas, Toyotas, and
everyday trucks. Take that in, 61%.
These are households generating $250,000 annually, possessing the liquidity to buy a premium import without blinking. Yet the vast majority choose mainstream reliability.
Only a minority of these high-earning households opt for premium European badges. The most dominant brand among verified millionaires is Toyota, closely followed by Honda and domestic trucks.
Luxury marques failed to even crack the top 3 slots. Furthermore, fewer than 24% of wealthy individuals operate a vehicle from the current production year.
Historical asset data proves that over half of them operate vehicles spanning multiple years in age.
The standard wealthy driver pilots an automobile that is roughly 4 years old with significant mileage on the odometer. These are not citizens restricted by a lack of capital. They are individuals who recognize a fundamental economic truth that modern consumer culture actively attempts to hide.
Motor vehicles represent the single most destructive wealth erasing tool in the modern consumer landscape outside of residential real estate.
Yet, unlike a home, which holds the structural capacity to gain value over time, an automobile aggressively sheds worth the precise second you execute the purchase agreement.
A brand new vehicle drops approximately 20% of its total value within the opening 12 months.
By the fifth year, it has surrendered nearly 40% of its original sticker price. By year 7, most consumer vehicles retain less than a third of their initial showroom valuation.
The typical monthly auto loan obligation across the country recently soared past $760, with an unprecedented number of buyers taking on obligations north of $1,000
a month, lengthy 84-month financing terms are becoming standard practice.
Consequently, millions of drivers are tied to multi-year payments on an asset that is worth significantly less than the principal balance they owe for the vast duration of the loan.
They are completely trapped beneath the surface of their debt. They surrender this massive chunk of capital month after month, instead of funneling it directly into compounding assets that multiply.
Let us analyze the actual mathematical progression, because the numbers reveal an absolute financial slaughter.
Marcus leases his premium SUV at $900 a month. Over his 3-year commitment, he pours over $32,000 into the contract. When the timeline expires, his equity is exactly zero. He surrenders the keys and immediately initiates a brand new lease cycle because stepping down to a mainstream vehicle would feel like a personal failure.
He will likely perpetuate this behavioral pattern for 30 years of his career, sacrificing nearly $1,000 monthly for an asset he will never truly possess.
Clara secured her reliable sedan for $22,000 cash. She intends to operate it for 8 full years. Her holistic cost of operations, factoring in routine upkeep, insurance variances, and the initial cash outlay, reduces to an average of roughly $330 monthly over her ownership horizon. At the conclusion of those 8 years, the machine remains fully operational.
She liquidates it for $9,000, acquires another dependable pre-owned vehicle, and seamlessly replicates the framework.
The monthly cash flow variance between the strategy used by Marcus and the path forged by Clara is roughly $500.
What happens to that cash?
If you redirect that $500 monthly variance into a standard market index compounding at an average annual return over a 3-decade career, that specific pocket of capital balloons to
approximately $745,000. Let that specific metric sink in, nearly $750,000.
That is no hypothetical abstraction.
That is the definitive mathematical reality of the gap between an aggressive luxury car habit and a disciplined, practical transportation strategy sustained across a working lifetime.
Your vehicle choice dictates whether you retire with absolute freedom or chronic anxiety. It determines whether you achieve total autonomy at 60 or remain chained to a workplace at 75, all dictated by the machine sitting in your driveway that was selected purely to
manipulate the opinions of onlookers. Clara did not amass her $1,000,000 net worth through complex trading strategies or ancestral windfalls. The vast majority of everyday millionaires are entirely self-made, a fact validated by extensive domestic wealth tracking.
Clara is the living embodiment of this data. She generated her financial independence entirely within the margin, separating her income from her consumption.
and her garage is precisely where she shields the largest single portion of that margin.
That solitary automotive decision is directly responsible for more than $500,000 of her total net worth.
It constitutes the cornerstone of her entire financial architecture, born from a single practical choice made decades ago and mirrored every 8 years.
Broad asset studies show that 94% of millionaires consistently consume far less than they earn.
Surprisingly, only about a third of them maintained six-figure salaries across their professional journeys. A full third never cleared a $100,000 salary in any single calendar year of employment.
The most prevalent occupations among these quiet millionaires included public educators, corporate accountants, standard engineers, mid-level managers, and localized attorneys.
Educators, individuals systematically categorized as undercompensated, surface on affluent listings with greater frequency than medical specialists or high-tech founders.
Why? Because your professional title does not dictate your final net worth.
The size of your financial margin does, and the driveway is exactly where the vast majority of citizens completely obliterate that margin.
While this content does not constitute formal financial counseling, it is vital to dissect why the vehicle, above all other standard spending categories, serves as the definitive dividing line
Between true wealth and perpetual scarcity, this phenomenon is driven by three distinct pillars. The primary pillar is sheer scale.
Outside of a primary mortgage, an automotive payment represents the single largest recurring monthly liability for the typical household.
A $700 monthly drain exceeds what the average family allocates toward nutritional groceries.
It eclipses what most households invest or save for their future.
When this specific line item is artificially inflated by several $100s beyond what is fundamentally required for safe, dependable transport, the excess consumption totally suffocates all
Other positive financial habits.
You can eliminate every streaming service, brew your coffee at home, pack your lunches with absolute discipline, and renegotiate minor utilities, yet the collective optimization from those
Microactions will never neutralize the wealth, killing drag of an inflated luxury car note. The vehicle is the massive boulder. The daily lattes are mere pebbles.
Most mainstream financial commentary obsesses over the pebbles because they are simple to critique.
The massive boulder is where the real fortune is won or lost. The secondary pillar is long-term duration.
Unlike a temporary vacation, an upscale dinner, or a designer coat, an auto loan locks your capital down for consecutive years. 60 months, 72 months, 80, 4 months. It functions as an automated wealth extraction system, operating uninterrupted for nearly a decade.
Because it runs seamlessly, your psychological baseline adapts to its presence. By the 6th month, the financial pain numbs.
It blends into your economic background, and you restructure your daily survival around its existence, classifying it as an unavoidable cost of modern life.
Except it was never mandatory.
It was an active decision made during a single afternoon at a commercial showroom that now drains your accounts month after month, while the underlying asset rapidly decays. The tertiary pillar is intense societal projection. No other commercial acquisition carries the same heavy burden of public identity as your vehicle.
Your automobile is witnessed by your immediate neighborhood, your corporate peers, your social circles, and your extended family when you visit for the holidays.
It broadcasts an immediate narrative regarding your perceived status, your earning capacity, and your societal standing. That narrative is almost entirely fabricated, yet the public lacks the data to see through it. The crowd observes a premium import and automatically assumes luxury.
The crowd spots a standard sedan and assumes mediocrity.
This societal programming is so deeply embedded in modern culture that the vast majority of citizens would genuinely prefer to be functionally insolvent in a premium vehicle than completely debt-free in a boring one. Marcus is trapped in this exact psychological loop.
His luxury SUV demands $900 a month, plus an additional $350 in insurance premiums because high-end models carry elevated risk profiles, topped off with
Premium fuel costs that demand an extra premium at the pump. His absolute monthly transportation drain climbs past $1,200, funded by a $94,000 salary.
That means roughly 15% of his gross cash flow is being sacrificed to a rapidly decaying asset.